Well, hi. Glad you chose to come in and meet with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to go over a few details. I see that you filled out the consent form. Appreciate that. I'm just going to go over some things that you should know. I am working for this company as a student intern, and I will be under supervision by two on site licensed counselors. And the bonus of that is that it's cheaper therapy. And you're going to have professionals looking over the case, but your name and confidentiality will be protected throughout this time. Do you have any questions about that?
No?
Is that good? Financially, yeah, $50. Our practice doesn't bill insurances, so we take payment the day of. And if there needs to be a cancellation, the policy here is that you give them 24 hours just because they schedule out and their time is very valuable. And so if you're not able to give a 24-hour notice that you can't make this appointment, then they'll hold you responsible for the $50. So it's good for you to know that.
So do your supervisors know what I'm sharing with you?
No, no, they won't know. Um, they won't know details about and ours time together, and they won't know um, your name and identity. All that will be protected. There's actually something called HIPAA. So if you don't know anything about that, I can give you some paperwork to make you understand, help you understand that. But there's regulations that we do abide to. So we hold your information with the strictest confidentiality by law. But there are a few things that we can't legally keep confidential, and those things are if there is any kind of real or potential life-threatening emergency, we by law have to report that. There could be a time if the court issues a subpoena, and we would have to give them information. And then finally, if we hear of any child or elder abuse or neglect in any way, we're mandatory reporters for that as well. But again, I want to remind you that we do follow HIPAA, but because I am an intern, I work directly under supervision, and I'll discuss your case and treatment with my supervisors with the protection of your identity.
Okay.
So I hope that wasn't too confusing for you.
I think I understand.
Any questions about that?
So my name, they won't know who I am, but because you're an intern, they'll still
Yes.
your
So
cases if you're needing.
correct. I'm still receiving training. So there's something called practicum hours, and so I have to have a certain amount of hours before I graduate, so I can get an associate license.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that.
You're right. I want to let you know the purpose of counseling is to reduce your distress, and so we're going to talk today about what brought you in. And so the goal is to reduce the stress of what brought you in here. But counseling isn't a perfect science, and so there are times that the feelings and emotions and reality of what's going on are never promised to get better. But we do strive and do our best to work through issues so that you can have the tools you need to take care of the stress or whatever other issues are going on in your life. Finally, just for the sake of your protection and mine, a client and counselor relationship is unique and is exclusively therapeutic. And so the protection for you is that I'm your therapist and I won't be a friend. And if I see you somewhere in public, I will respect you and will be highly confidential. So that's something that we value here. So I appreciate you coming in, filling out this consent form. I'm going to go ahead and start asking you some questions if you don't have any more questions for me.
I don't think I do.
All right. All right. Well, I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to take some notes while we chat. And if there's anything we need to talk a little bit more about while we're asking some questions, just feel free to stop me and we can keep talking about whatever you need to. So your name's Allison Cartwright.
Mm-hmm.
You were born on August 4th, 1997. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Well, why don't you just tell me what brought you in here today?
Okay. Well, we're approaching Christmas time, and I've got a wonderful family. I have parents that I love very much, and one older sister. She's diagnosed with schizophrenia. So, that's been really difficult and really hard. I've enjoyed moving out. I'm in college now. I go home every so often, and I love going home and seeing everybody. But I want to go home and see everybody. But going home and having to face my sister and live in the same place with her is very scary for me. And so I hate the fear that I feel. And I'm not comfortable when I'm there. And I'm really sad about that. I want to be able to go home and to feel safe and not be afraid to live with my schizophrenic sister. She's on medication. She's doing really well. So a lot of it's under control, and I can even see my old sister coming back. So I love her very much.
Right. How long has this been a problem, your fear of coming home or being home with your sister?
There's been ups and downs and lots of different changes as I've continued to grow up. But, my sister, when we were young, is when she started to mentally change.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, it's never been the same.
May I ask how old your sister is?
Well, I'm 19, and my sister's 24.
Okay. So at what age did your family first realize that your sister had these symptoms?
I remember I was about 12.
Okay.
Which would make her 17 or 18.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty scary.
Yeah.
So I could imagine living in a house with a sister who all of a sudden begins to have this issue. Maybe guessing you guys didn't know it was schizophrenia at the beginning.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Yeah, she was a normal girl growing up. I think she always kind of got the attention more. So we weren't quite sure what was going on at first, but things definitely changed. We had a horrible experience where we shared a bed, and we were sleeping in bed, and out of the blue she started to choke me. And that was not like her. Like, she wasn't a violent person. We didn't have that kind of relationship. But to be choked by her because she was literally in a delusional state, she thought she was going to be harmed. And in that, she tried to harm me.
When you were 12?
Yes. And so that's when she went to get professional help, because we realized that there weren't just these changes in her, that this was something really legit.
Wow, that's very scary.
It was terrifying. It's horrible.
Yeah. So I understand the fear. That's legitimate.
Yeah. And since then, the family's just different. She's like I said, she's doing better now, but since then, it's just crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Sorry you have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're in a place where when break comes, you're heading home.
Yeah.
And have you made a decision that you are going to go home? Or are you coming to counseling to decide if you want to go home or not?
I want to go home.
Okay. So
I want to go home. I just don't want to feel all these fears leading up to it.
Right.
It's kind of debilitating at this point for me, and I want to go home and not feel nervous.
Yeah. You think about this daily?
The closer it's getting,
Mm-hmm.
through this quarter, through this semester, no. It's here and there. I've got enough going on. I'm having a blast in my life right now at college, and my family is not on my thoughts every day.
Right.
But as it's getting closer, and my mom's putting a lot of pressure on me, and my parents can't wait to have us both home for Christmas. I'm planning on taking my boyfriend with me and having him be a part of Christmas, which sounds fun because he can't go to Christmas with his family this year.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about it daily at this point because it's getting close.
Yeah. So if we could give you maybe a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being your fears almost nothing, and 10 is your fears just off the charts, where would you say that you are at this point coming in to see me?
So my fear of actually being there, like what will I feel, or what do I feel right now?
I guess I'm trying to understand the level of fear you have about going home. And so you said that you're fearful of going home and being with your sister. And so just trying to get a gauge of where you're at. Maybe not necessarily right now, but when you do feel the emotion of going home, what would that level of fear be at on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I think while I'm here in school, I don't feel the fear because I'm not there with her.
Right.
But I can anticipate maybe like I'm a 5.
Okay.
But then if I think about being there with her, then it's higher.
Okay. Yeah, so when you anticipate that moment, you can definitely get in touch with that.
Yeah, it's a horrible, like I want to be there and I want to be with my sister, but I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
All the doors have to come off of the house. My dad takes all the doors off the hinges.
Wow. What's
There's
that
just
for?
changes that we have to make because of her illness.
And that's for protection of her and for everyone in the family? Or?
Yeah. Ever since that happened, ever since she tried to choke me, we don't close the doors.
Okay. Wow, that's very difficult. Thanks for sharing that. Have you had any efforts within your family, or even without your family, any change efforts that have gone on that have been positive?
Yeah, when she went to get help, they did some family therapy.
Okay.
And so we did get to talk about it and learn about schizophrenia.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And that was helpful for you?
Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah, I mean, it's a dialogue in our family. It's open. There's nothing that we're hiding. We all know what this is, and we know we can't get rid of it.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. How long did your family go to family therapy?
I seriously think I only went a couple times.
Okay.
My parents did more. My parents went to therapy, and I think they might even still sometimes go.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's great that you guys were able to have that.
Yeah.
I know it's not a fix-all, but it's great when a family can have that time together to process a traumatic experience like that together, and ongoing trauma with your sister's illness. I'm going to ask you just some developmental questions as far as your history, birthplace. Where were you born?
I was born in Seattle.
Okay. Any complications in your birth that you remember or were told?
No, I think I was late.
Okay.
So I was a very big baby.
You wanted to stay in and get cooked a little more.
Yeah. I'm not sure my mom liked that.
No, I'm sure she didn't. Do you remember any childhood illnesses that you've had?
I think I always had ear infections.
Okay.
I think I did. I had a poorer immune system than my sister.
Okay.
A weaker immune system.
And so with that, did you have any other big episodes that you've had to be in the hospital or different types of procedures done?
Some childhood asthma. But really, I grew out of it. I feel great now.
Okay. Great. So you don't feel like those symptoms carried on into your early adulthood?
No.
Okay. Tell me about your extended family. Actually, I should probably get to know your immediate family. spoke of a mother and a father. What are their
Mhm.
names?
My mom's name is Susie,
Okay.
and my dad's name is Don.
Okay. And your sister?
Her name is Lucy.
And any other siblings?
Nope, it's just us.
Just you two. Great. Extended family involvement. How have they been involved in this? Do they know about Lucy?
Yeah, my mom's side knows about Lucy, and it's terrified them.
Mm.
They do not feel comfortable at all. Where my dad's side has some history of it.
Okay.
They've had family members in the past. So it's not that they're terribly comfortable with it. Those family members were not. My parents are handling this. I think there's more help these days.
Right.
So they're able to support my sister
Right.
in a way that in my dad's side it's never happened before.
Okay.
They live in Florida though, and we hardly ever see them. So I don't even know that much. Come to think of it, I don't even know if we've been with them very much. But there is schizophrenia on my dad's side,
Okay.
and I know that they haven't handled it maybe as positively as my parents
Right.
are seen to have are handling it.
Okay. So maybe your parents, you feel like they've learned from what they saw in the past, or?
I don't know. I think my parents love my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my parents are learners. They're willing to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Great. Tell me more about your parents, their marriage. Is this their first or only marriage?
yeah, their first and only marriage. I mean, I think they had serious relationships before they met each other in college, but, mom loves us both, and she just cares so much that we come home and spend time with her, and I can see why.
Would you say that you're close to your parents?
I don't know. I mean, last time I was there, my mom did not tell me that my sister was going to be there. So I took my boyfriend to go meet my parents, and I was excited, honestly, that Lucy wasn't going to be there.
Yeah.
Lucy was getting help at a treatment center.
Okay.
And so I thought I was coming home to Seattle and bringing my boyfriend, and I was hoping for a simple visit where they'd get to meet him and we'd get to hang out, because my parents are pretty cool. I really do like being with them. And I get home and I see the doors off the hinges.
Mm.
And my mom and dad, neither of them informed me that Lucy
Wow.
had gotten out of treatment early and was home. Like, I had no clue.
Right.
So it's stuff like that. I love my parents. They're fun to be with. I know that they love me. I know that they accept me and what I choose. But I was so mad that they did not let me know.
Of course.
Because I would have liked to know. I did not want to bring him home. I didn't want my boyfriend to come home and meet Lucy.
Right.
Or meet my parents on those terms.
Right. Absolutely. You have every right to feel the way you feel.
Yeah.
Mm.
So they're cool, but like I said, Mom will kind of do anything to get us home.
Mm. Right.
And so now at this point, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're working this out. I think this is great that you're aware of all that. You're not blind to it, and you're talking about it. And hopefully, the family therapy that your parents have done and possibly may continue to be doing could help that. So I would hope to see that be something that continues. Tell me more about your sister Lucy. What do you remember about her before your family realized she had schizophrenia?
Well, she was my big sister. She is my big sister.
Mm-hmm.
She, if we were to compare myself with her, she was the overly cautious child. She really was. She was very successful. She did well what she did, but not much of an adventurer or a risk taker. Really cautious, and she worried.
Yeah.
I would say she worried more than I did.
And So were you close to her?
Yeah, I mean, we're 5 years apart, but we shared a room, and she was a good big sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shared a lot of memories, and a lot of growing up together.
Yeah. So it feels like there's some loss there once you
Yeah.
realize what happened.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I
It's very painful.
Mhm.
You mentioned you have a boyfriend.
Mhm.
Are you guys just kind of casually dating? You really serious about him? I heard you brought him home to see your parents, so I don't know if that's just because you like to have a friend come with you, or you really want him to meet your parents.
Well, I owe my parents that.
Yeah.
They want to meet him. We're serious, but what does that mean in college? Like,
Yeah.
not marriage or anything like that. Just, I like him a lot. We have a lot of fun. So it's time to bring him home and have him see my world and meet my parents.
Okay. That's great. Are you two sexually active?
Mhm.
Have you been sexually active before this boyfriend?
Yeah.
Regularly or just
No,
random?
just
Okay.
randomly. Just a couple of guys in high school.
Do you remember in your personal life, other than the incident with your sister when she had the episode and tried to choke you, any other abuse or trauma that you can remember in your life?
I was bullied a little bit in elementary school.
Mhm.
So I would say that, I don't know if that was traumatic. But yeah, I mean, there were some mean kids in elementary school that teased me for not being, for being too big or.
Mm. Mm. Kids can be mean.
Yeah, that wasn't easy.
Yeah. What about friendships that you have outside? You have a boyfriend. What are your friendships like within your extended family or just with friends at school? Would you say that you have relatively deep, meaningful friendships, or how would you rate or discuss the types of friendships you have?
I have a couple really good, deep, old friends, but we're all off in college now. We didn't go to the same colleges, so I do miss them a lot. And I haven't even kept in touch with them this year as much as I thought I would.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm in my first year of college, and I have an awesome group of friends. But we're just getting to know each other. We're
Right.
having fun, and they're good people. I enjoy being with them, but I don't know them yet, like at a deep level or anything.
But you do have some friends that you say you could connect with at a deeper level.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I
That's
think
good.
we're all open to that. We're just having a lot of fun right now.
And would you say the onset of, I'm just going to call this the presenting problem, the reason why you came into therapy, would you say this presenting problem uh, occurred at a specific time that you can remember?
I think that now I'm away at college and I'm going home, I'm realizing the fear and the anxiety that I have.
Okay.
Maybe I always had that sense.
Right.
But when you live in it, you just live in it. You don't have a choice. Now I kind of feel like I have this choice, especially since I felt tricked last time coming
Absolutely.
home. Now I have this choice of like, do I go home and do I spend time with these people?
Right.
Because I like the people that I'm with in college.
Yeah. And having the distance now has helped you understand
Yeah.
maybe what you were living with, and so now you're realizing there's a new onset of problems happening, and that's the fear of going home, maybe being tricked again, or maybe having your sister have an episode, or all of the trauma of what went on in a home that was maybe not predictable with your sister's illness.
Yeah.
Kind of has resurfaced again being away at college.
Yeah, and my parents just promise up and down that her medicine is great, and I do see that. I do see that she's very stable,
Right.
and I see moments where she's my old sister again. But they cannot promise me that she will not have another episode.
Right.
And they are. I feel like everybody's telling me she's better, but an episode could happen at any time.
Right. You're right. What about drugs? Have you ever tried different drugs of any sort?
Not until this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me know what kind of drugs would
Oh, it's nothing really dangerous. I
Hmm.
mean, we're definitely drinking. Um, I don't like smoking, but there are people smoking around me, and I've tried marijuana.
Okay. Randomly tried it.
Um, I'm trying it often. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How often would you say you would use marijuana in a week?
just on the weekends.
Just on the
Yeah,
weekends.
yeah. I study hard. I know my studies are important to me, so I work hard all week,
Right.
and then on the weekends, we all kick back and.
Would you say you would connect your marijuana use to when the feelings of fear come, or would you separate the two?
Hmm. No, I'd say my feelings come and go all week.
Okay.
On the weekends, I'm actually having fun with my
Okay.
friends, so maybe I don't think about it as much.
Right. Okay. Have you had any negative consequences that have happened because of alcohol or marijuana in your life?
In my life.
And just, I guess, in this season that you've been experimenting with it.
Yeah, not in this season. I mean, I have an uncle who got multiple DUIs. I know how dangerous that is.
Hmm.
I've seen negative consequences. So we never drive. Like
That's great.
we're in safe places.
Okay, good. So you mentioned your family did go through family therapy, and they went for a while. You had a few um, treatments with them altogether. Um, I guess I want to revisit that briefly.
Hmm.
What do you feel like, according to you, how effective was it for you in handling your sister's illness and how you view schizophrenia?
I think it helped me understand what it is, and I can explain it to myself and explain it to people.
Okay.
But as far as like how it helped me with what happened when I was 12, no.
Okay. So you get that schizophrenia is an illness.
Hmm.
You understand what's going on with your sister. You understand some of the facts about schizophrenia, but the actual hurt that happened,
Yeah.
I feel like has kind of been unaddressed.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, my mom offered me more counseling,
Okay.
but I resisted. I didn't want to.
Okay.
So this is my choice now
Great.
at this point. So there was more offered to me. I wasn't ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Needs to be the right time. Well, I'm glad you chose to come back. As far as your emotional health, have there ever been times where you felt very depressed or anxiety or feelings of suicidal tendencies or thoughts?
Well, I mean, there's definitely been ups and downs with this whole thing with the family and my sister. Um, I've never been suicidal. I mean, it's her life. It's my life. I'm in college now.
Right. Good. Thanks for sharing that.
Hmm.
Um, you said that you had asthma when you were younger.
Hmm.
Has any of that continued? You said none of it actually has affected you today. Is there any medication that you're currently on?
Birth control.
Okay. No inhalers or.
No.
Okay.
No, that started fading out in junior high and was really just a childhood thing, an elementary thing.
Great. And so you're currently in college.
Hmm.
You graduated, I'm guessing, just a year ago.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
First year in college, you know what your major is? You know what you want to do?
Hmm.
What's that?
I'm an art major.
Okay, great. Is there a specific kind of art you like?
I like all art.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm not sure yet. I mean, there's definitely things that I don't do, but it's fun to be able to get lots of different experiences.
Great. What about employment? Have you had any jobs during the summertime or during school year?
Yeah, I've always worked.
Okay. Where have you worked?
Well, this year while I'm in school, I work at a local coffee shop by the school.
Great.
At home in Seattle, I always worked at an ice cream store near the house.
Right. What's your favorite ice cream?
Rocky Road.
Rocky Road. Excellent. I'm sure you got your fill of that. As far as your performance at work and at school, how would you grade yourself? Are you an overachiever? Are you an underachiever, a procrastinator, kind of middle of the line? Kind of giving categories, but
Yeah.
maybe you can create your own categories.
I think I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
I saw my sister overachieve, so I thought I did not want to be that.
Sure.
But yet I like to do a good job, so I do my best.
Yeah. That's good. What are goals that you have currently?
Well, my goal is to keep doing school, finish college. Another goal would be I really like this job, this coffee shop job, and there is room to move up. So I'd really like to even manage a store somewhere.
Right.
And then have fun
Yeah.
with my friends.
It's a good goal. So other than the presenting problem that you came in with, do you see any obstacles in your life that you think would prevent you from accomplishing graduation and moving up in work and having fun?
Other than Dad getting sick or something and not being able to pay for college.
Yeah.
I do. I make the money I make is for my car and other things. But
Okay.
my dad pays for school, so I don't know how I would do it all if I didn't have my parents helping me.
Yeah. It's great. It's a great gift. All right. Have you ever had any legal issues?
I got caught for shoplifting one time when I was pretty young.
Okay.
It was a dare. So yeah,
How old were you?
I was like 14.
Risky, huh?
Yeah.
What was the dare?
The dare was to go in and steal a bikini.
Hmm.
So I did it, and they caught me.
Got ya.
Yeah.
Did you get arrested?
Yes. Yeah, they took me in.
Wow.
My mom and dad had to come pick me up, and I learned my lesson.
Excellent. Did you have to do any community service? Or?
Yep, community service, 16 hours.
Okay. What was that like?
I deserved it.
Yeah.
It was good.
All right. So let's talk about your strengths. So if you were to say, here are the top 3 things that are strengths about who I am, what would you say those are? You can be more than 3. If you like.
Well, I would say I'm an honest person. Definitely in my family and outside my family, but they know I'll tell them the truth.
Yeah.
I like to have fun, and I'm good for adventures. I like to take risks.
Great. Those are fun. Sounds fun. All right. So what about any limitations that you know about yourself? Feel like you're in touch with any limitations that you personally have?
Yeah, I mean, I know I can be in my family, I'm called a hothead. So I can, with that honesty comes trouble sometimes. I'm okay telling people what I need and what I don't like. Like the last time I went home and my mom and dad did that was not, I'm not a quiet person. I'm
Right.
not a person that just goes with the flow that way. I was pissed. And my family knew. So that surprises me because my mom knows that about me.
Yeah.
I was shocked that she didn't tell me. Did she not think I was going to get mad? So I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. That could even be a strength.
Yeah.
But it's bad that I do open my mouth very easily.
Okay.
And I do say probably more than what I need to.
Okay. And so if it was a limitation, why would it be?
I talk before I think sometimes.
Okay.
I'm working really hard even today just to think before I talk.
Great. Well, I'm here to help you, and so I would hope that you can just be completely honest, and even if it means you having the freedom to talk before you think, it's okay here. We're here to help get you to a place where you're able to manage the fear that comes with going home. So, any other limitations that you know of?
Mm.
That's great. So, tell me about limitations, strengths of your family as a whole.
Okay, well, I would say my family as a whole is very loyal. We're not going to give up on each other. It's kind of a message that I've heard, and I think we mean. It's not fake. I mean, I've seen my parents fight for my sister, and they want me to do the same. You know, I mean, I just remembered I did have a surgery. I don't know
Okay.
if that mattered earlier. You asked me about illnesses.
That's
It
fine.
wasn't. It was just like an appendectomy to get my appendix out.
Okay.
But I had some complications in that, and so I was sick, and my sister was there all the time. So we're just a really loyal family.
It's a great strength.
Hmm.
Any other strengths that you would attribute to your family?
I'm not the only honest one in my family. I think we're all pretty honest. So communication is not. It's not like hidden. Other than my parents not telling me that my sister was coming home, but
Right.
still, like, we talk and we're able to tell each other what we think.
So you feel like there's a decent level of transparency.
Yeah, I would say so.
What about limitations as a family? And let's think maybe outside of maybe the schizophrenia issue, because I
Mhm.
could imagine there would be a lot of limitations that had created that maybe weren't a part of your family before that, maybe?
Yeah. I think neither of my parents are close to their families, and so they really worry about us all being close. In some ways, they've walked out of their families and they're just wanting a new start,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be a limitation.
Right.
Because I do see them just really hold on to us girls and value
Yeah.
us a lot.
Well, lastly, I think what I would like to do is before we close out, maybe just have you tell me more about the initial trauma. Let's call it a trauma that took place when you were 12. Are you okay maybe talking about that a little bit with me? I'd like to understand maybe how you've processed what it felt like then
Mm-hmm.
and how you feel about it now, so that I can get a good understanding of where you're at with that incident, because it looks like it's only 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Have a lot of time to process it, but it's a pretty significant moment in your life, and I'd love to. It helped me understand how to move forward if I could hear from you more about how you processed it as a 12-year-old and the feelings
Mm-hmm.
and the emotions you had about it, and how you process it now.
So if I was to go back to being 12, I mean, we were sleeping. It was a normal night. There were some changes in Lucy, but I don't remember going to bed thinking I was in danger.
Right.
And literally was awoken up in the middle of my sleep with her hands around my neck, and she's screaming things. I don't know what she was saying, but she was choking me. And I remember looking at her face, and she was not herself. Like, it was clear that she really wanted to kill me. And so it was just horrible. It was terrifying. It was confusing. Because she was screaming so loudly, the phrases and the things that she was yelling, my parents woke up, thankfully.
Yeah.
And my parents rushed in, and it was my dad that was able to get her off of me. But I was hurt physically. And
Did you go to the hospital?
yeah, went to the hospital and made a report about it, and that's obviously what, that and all of that just allowed my parents to. There wasn't any question about what Lucy's needs were at that point. So.
Okay. I'm sure that was very scary.
Yeah, it just was horrible to be awoken up out of the middle of my sleep. I had no clue. And then to even see my sister be saying things that made no sense, and to see her eyes, and she just didn't. Now I know. So if I was to go now and what I understand and the way I look back at that,
Right.
is she literally, her delusions, her hallucinations, she was having them all, and she really did not know I was me and she was her.
Right.
So I get that intellectually.
Right.
I
So she
understand.
wasn't wanting to hurt you.
No, I get that, but she still has schizophrenia,
Yeah.
and she still could have an episode where she doesn't know I'm me anymore.
Right. So as a 12-year-old, you said you were confused, scared.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how you felt the nights after? What emotions did you feel as you were able to process and realize that your sister did this to you, and she has this illness? How were you as a 12-year-old able to understand that?
Well, she wasn't in the house anymore, so honestly, I felt fine.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy she was gone.
Right, of course.
So I was sad, and I saw my parents extremely sad and confused. So there was this time when we all sensed the loss, but it wasn't a loss in some ways, because I didn't want her in the house anymore. I did not want that to happen again.
Mm.
So going to bed at night felt safe because she wasn't there.
Right. And then when did she come back into the home?
She came back for a stint of time. Yeah, and I did not want my sister back in the house.
Would you say that the fear you felt then is similar to the fear you're feeling now about thinking about going home,
Yeah.
or would it be a different type of
No,
fear?
it'd be the same.
Okay.
I would say they match.
Okay. And now you're processing it. You understand. You separate your sister and schizophrenia. You weren't able to do it then, but you can do it now.
Yeah.
How does
I
that
think I was
change?
able to even do that. Like when she came home for periods of time, I understood, but I'm a tough girl. I'm a pretty strong girl. So, it was night and day when she came back into the house for me. But I told myself, I knew how to like talk myself out of being afraid.
Okay.
So I made it work. And then when she'd have a relapse or have to leave again, it was like I loved not having her home.
Yeah.
I felt like all of us could be a family without her home.
You said that you are a tough girl.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean when you say that you're a tough girl? Is that a message you've given yourself, or is that a message you've heard others share about you?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to be. My sister can't stay in a hospital all her life. So now I'm in college, I can do what I want with my life. I don't have to even go home. But in the years that I was still under my dad's roof, and my sister had to come home, like I had to deal with it.
Right.
And I could not sleep all night.
Right.
So.
Well, this is great. You've been great. You've given me some really great information to begin forming a plan that maybe we could team up together to figure out what it looks like for you to embrace the reality of what you have and work with this fear and relieve some of this tension. So we're getting close to the end. Is there anything that we didn't talk about? Anything that you feel like I should know before we close off today and can schedule for next week?
How long do you think this will take?
Well, I think there's a number of things that we could do. I think it depends on what you want. If you're wanting to have a few times so that you can have some tools and maybe some things that you can help relieve the symptoms, that would help me understand about you, how we might move forward as far as a treatment plan. But really, there isn't a timeline on this. If you wanted to come for a few sessions, I think it would give you a great starting place. But I think if you wanted to come for, maybe we could start off by saying, let's do 5 sessions, and at the 5th session we can talk about what's happened and where you think you're at, and and how you think this relationship has been, and how the tension and the stress has felt. Maybe we can move forward, but I'd be glad to meet as long as you'd like.
Okay. That sounds great.
So is there anything else that I should know, or anything else that you feel like you just wanted to get off your chest or share with me?
No? No, I think that sounds great. I think that timing will work out because then we'll be close to Christmas and I'll probably go home and then, we'll see where we're at.
Okay. Well, great. Again, if there's any paperwork you'd like to have about our HIPAA, or any statements that you aren't clear about, feel free to ask me. And if the same time next week
Mm-hmm.
looks
Yeah,
good
this
for
time
you,
works.
we'll have it on our calendar. And again, if you need to cancel, just make sure you call 24 hours
Okay.
before. Great.